So hello Achievers, today I am with a new amazing guy. I am in Los Angeles in the hotel, and you will have the pleasure to learn how to speak very well and to share $1 million message. I am with Maurice DiMino. He's a world-winning speaker and he's with me to answer my questions, so follow this interview. Hello Maurice.
Pleasure David, thank you so much.
You know that Maurice is a French name?
Yes, yes. I was named after my favorite. I was named after my mother's favorite actor, Maurice Chevalier.
Oh, great!
And also, my middle name is French, Yves, after Yves Montand. So I'm practically French.
You have to learn French. We can do it in French if you want.
Si, merci.
Yes.
That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, I know that. Who are you? Can you talk about yourself and introduce yourself?
Sure. As you made mention, I'm an award-winning speaker. Also, I'm the author of the book, The Art of Public Speaking, as well as a mentor. And what I've come to realize is that each one of us has that $1 million message written in our hearts that the world is waiting to hear. And I guess my mission is that I will forbid people, because of my background, I forbid people to go to their grave with their message still inside of them. So I help people to craft and design, and not only that, deliver that message in their heart so that it is informative, it's fun, and what makes me unique from other trainers and mentors is that I help people to create a transactional. In other words, that there's a transaction at the end of that presentation. So whether you have a product, a service, or even a charity, people are ready to invest in you and what you're all about.
Okay, and just to begin, how we can find our $1 million message? Because how do you have a process? Do you have something?
Yeah, what I did is I designed through my experiences. I've designed a 26-point template. Prior to all this speaking, I sold and rented post-production equipment. This high-end equipment that had a dollar value of anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to $250,000. And what I realized, my clients, every time I went through this, they always said, you know what, let's see it in action. So I had to present myself.
Yeah.
I had to give a presentation. And I think with all of us, we're actually presenting ourselves. Whether we're in line for a cup of coffee or groceries or even on stage, we are presenting ourselves. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that I gave a consistent, concise message so that if they weren't going to walk away with my product right then and there, at least they knew what I was about. And that's the key. The key is to have that consistent message so that people know what you're about, what you stand for, and not only that, if that need arises, you're the first person they think of. So through that, I developed a 26-point template. I call it my $1 million template. And what it allowed me to do is to precisely give the message each and every time so that my audience, my listener, knows exactly what I'm about and what my product does. And because of that, I became known as the $1 million man. I was doing about $1 million worth of business. I was doing about $1 million worth of business per month. Now, I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you.
Yeah. I love you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So and anyone could do that, and that's the point. By following a template, by following a system that other people have been successful with, you could have success as well.
Great. I love that. And how do you? What you have 26 steps, but can you share the first steps to find our $1 million message? Let's take the example. Let's imagine that someone wants to do public speaking, and he has he studies a lot of masters and self-improvement world, for example, and he has a lot of knowledge, but he's struggling to find his own message. What are your advices?
You know, it's funny, I just had my master class this past week, and I had a conversation with one of my coaching clients about that. And what we found is this, that by finding what comes naturally to you, in other words, well, everyone should know that. That's your unique message. Because if it comes easy to you, that means that's their natural ability inside of you. That means you probably have your own systems, your own techniques. Yeah, you've probably taken from other masters and other leaders, but you've distilled it and you've created your own system. And that's what I ask people to do. What did you use to become successful? What 7 steps? What 5 steps? What mantra? What did you become successful? In other words, what is your system? By realizing that each one of us has that message, that system, that process, if you will, that's your message. Because if it comes easy for you, guess what? That's your mission. You're going to help other people to make their life easier, make them see the success, make them be the winners in their lives.
Yeah, I love that, and I see that on my own path, because my two main message is about the fact to believe in our dreams, to believe in myself, and that's why before to study everything on self-improvement world, it was my first struggle, and the other thing I speak a lot about is baby steps, and I started to do baby steps before to read books. So yeah, the people, I want to share that because I started to do that on my own, so that's why today it's my message.
Right. So that interests you.
Yeah.
Now let's add on that. That interests you. So that means you have enthusiasm about it.
Yeah.
And we have to know this. When we take the part of speaker, and this could be speaker one-on-one or even one-to-many, you become contagious. Yeah, just like a disease, you become contagious. So now, look, see, now you're getting excited about this topic. So why? Because I'm contagious about it. I'm enthusiastic. So if I can give advice to anybody out there, it's this. Be enthusiastic. If you get up in front of an audience, again, one-on-one or one-to-many, and you come across as dull and boring and all that, your audience will be dull and boring. But if you come across enthusiastic, inspirational, guess what? Your audience will walk away with that because you are contagious.
Yeah, and do you think we can develop that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because remember, we're coming from our natural ability. We're growing on our strengths. I always say this to my corporate clients. Why start at the bottom of the hill with your weaknesses, your limitations? Why not start halfway up the hill? Well, guess what? The journey to the top is going to be quicker and easier and just so much more enjoyable. And your audience is going to see that. So why not do what comes easy to you, have that enthusiasm, and impart your knowledge, your skill to your audience.
So it's a tip to begin your speech and smile during the speech, right?
Oh my, definitely. Let me tell you something. If you want to radiate confidence, there's two things I suggest to my clients. Two things. Easy, real easy. You could be shaking your knees. You could be sweating profusely. But just do two things and your audience will see confidence in you. And those two things are this. As you made mention, David, the smile.
Yeah.
As quite simply put, a smile is a light in the window to let people know you care. So that's number one. Number two is eye contact. By giving people eye contact, and I'm not saying like like laser beams, you drill them that the back of their head explodes, but you look at them in a loving, caring way, because again, that's what we're here. We're in service to the audience. So I want to look at my audience, right? I want to look at them in their eyes, give them like eye contact, and let them know through my eye contact that I care. If you do those two things, standing up in front of an audience, whether it's an audience of 10 to 10,000, they're going to feel that, and they're going to experience you firsthand.
It's great. I love that.
Thank you.
And about the smile, two questions. I'm trying to be the people who are following us.
Right.
For example, sometimes people say me, yes, but I can't smile every time because I will be. I don't know how to say that in English. It will be too much. Yeah.
It'd be false.
Yeah.
It'd be fake.
Yeah.
Like I'm faking it.
Yeah.
Well, but again, you have a message to share with your audience. Aren't you excited about this message? Now, of course, what I'm saying is you're not going to walk there with a big silly grin the whole time. Exactly, no. But if you're not enjoying, imagine this: if you're not enjoying your topic, how possibly can your audience enjoy your topic? And what I usually do for my clients that are not used to smiling, I put them on a smile diet. Yeah, I put them on a smile diet. I say this: for the next 7 days, from the moment you rise out of bed to the moment you go to sleep, you have to be smiling. A nice, natural smile, just a grin. And that every time you pass a mirror or a reflective surface, well, yeah, you double back, you look in the mirror, you smile, and then you continue your day. Why? Because when you get out in front of the audience, wouldn't you agree with me when you get in front of an audience, it's nerve-wracking enough? There's enough pressure on you. Well, all that nerves, all that pressure on you is also going to weigh down your smile. Yeah. And I don't want you to be frowning up there because you're thinking of so many different things. And the last thing you want to think of is to remember to smile. So if we do this smile diet when we get up on stage, we just have a...
To build an habit?
What's that? To make it a habit. Yeah, definitely. To make it a habit so that we just, when we get up on stage, it's just nice and natural. And guess what? We put our audience at ease. If we put our audience at ease, if we're having a good time, they're having a good time. If we're enjoying our talk, they're enjoying our talk. And let me tell you something. That goes a long way if you do have a product or a service or even a charity that you want people to invest their time or their dollars in. And again, that's the unique thing. I don't want people, when they do a presentation, I don't want them to leave there that everyone's glad-handing them. That's an expression which means people just are thanking you and patting you on your back, and you're not making a dime. I want you to be compensated for all this hard work. Wouldn't you agree with me that speaking is hard enough as it is?
Yeah.
Well, you should be compensated. And that compensation could be a signature on a petition, to someone's email address, to investing $10,000 into your services.
Yeah.
So why not? Let's all have a good time at this.
Yeah, we will talk just after about that. Okay. I want to come back on the second thing you said about eye contact. If you have 1,000 people in front of you, who do you look at?
Great question. I love this question. What I do is a part of my template. The first thing you do is not even utter a word. You take the sweet spot, in other words, center stage, so that you have everybody in view. Then you scan your audience. In other words, you look from the left to the right, and you scan your audience. And this is what I would love your followers to do. Look for the cheerleaders in the audience. These are the people who are already smiling. They're already nodding. They're already leaning forward in the chair. In other words, they're already participating with you before you opened your mouth. Now, these are your safe havens. Why? Because there's going to be some people in the audience that have a sour puss in their face. They're not looking. And let me tell you something. For the beginning speaker, that's going to distract you and bring your energy, enthusiasm down. So look for those cheerleaders. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to look them in the eye. You're going to smile. And you're going to talk with them. See, that's another great technique.
Yeah, it's great.
To simply have a conversation with your audience. You're not going to speak at them. You're not going to speak with them. You're going to have a conversation with them. And let me tell you, some people say, you just made mention 1,000 people in the audience. Well, if you do that with cheerleaders throughout your audience, guess what? Everyone in that audience is going to feel that you had a conversation just with them. I've left plenty of places that 1,000, 10,000 people in the auditorium. Somebody comes up to me. I don't know who they are, but you know what they say to me, David? Maurice, you spoke right to me. Thank you for your message. You made a difference in my life. Why? Because I had a conversation with that audience. My greatest advice to my clients is this. Public speaking is a conversation. Don't think that you're talking at the audience, that you're throwing information this way. We have to understand that it's a conversation. It is a dialogue. Whether you realize it or not, whether it's one person or 1,000 people, your audience is speaking to you. Yeah. With their vocal cues, with their body language, with their facial expressions. So we have to be in that conversation.
And yes, it's a good thing. So are you sensible to their body language?
Say that again?
Do you pay attention to their body language?
Definitely. I tell my clients that you're going to go through 3 stages in your speaking, whether you like it or not. The expression is sometimes you got to go through hell to get to heaven. And the 3 stages is this. Stage 1 is where you focus on yourself. Do I look okay? Am I right? Is there something in my teeth? Then stage 2 is you focus on the content. You try to be word perfect. Now, out of those 2 stages, who are you leaving out in this conversation? Your audience. You're going to go through those 2 stages, and then when you get to stage 3, that's going to be the stage you want to be in. Focus on your audience. And when that happens is that you will see them smile. You will see them with a quizzical look. And when that happens, or they say, oh yeah, respond to that. That's a conversation. I know that when somebody in my audience, be it a corporate audience or an entrepreneurs or speakers or authors, whatever my audience is, if I get either a vocal cue, oh yeah, oh that's right, what? I respond to that. I go, you better believe, Or if I see that some people have a quizzical look on their face, like they're questioning what I just said, I say, now some of you may be asking questions of what this is about. And then I'll address it. See, now I'm in this position of having a conversation with my audience. I am not just giving a canned speech. In other words, it's just true. Just because it's what is ever written there, I'm going to deliver that. No, we want to be in conversation.
It's not a television.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a television, exactly. This is you know what? This is not a theatrical piece. I'm not on Broadway. This is a conversation. Even though it's 10,000 people, people applaud, people laugh, whatever. Respond to that. And let me tell you something. The most important things. You tell the audience that you're present, that you're with them right here and right now. And what does that help you to do? To show that you care.
And do you pay attention to people who they are like that?
Well, I call those the sourpusses, right? They have a sourpuss on their face. And what I do is, when I first began, let me tell you something. When I first began, that threw me. And for some reason, don't ask me why, but the human being will concentrate on the person not having a good time. I think it's our self-confidence that we want to win that person over. Well, if you try to win that one person over, what about the other 99 that are enjoying themselves? So I say, you leave that person behind. And I'd rather have you concentrate on the cheerleaders and the people that want to be there. In fact, I just did a corporate speaking the other week. And there was a few people in my audience that, my gosh, it looked like they were weaned on a pickle. They had such a sour face. And I said, you know what, Maurice? You are here for the people that want to be here. So concentrate on your cheerleaders. Concentrate on the people who are straining to understand what you're saying. Be there for that. I'll never forget, I was in Santa Barbara, California. I was giving a presentation, a corporate presentation. And this woman was sitting right in my sweet spot. In other words, she was sitting center. So every time I looked out in the audience, who was I looking at? This person. Every time I thought a beautiful point, a major point, she made a face like this. She would roll her eyes backwards. I said, oh my gosh. I mean, every time. And then I'm thinking to myself, how is it possible that every point I was making was wrong or questioning or was not correct? Now, I couldn't help myself, but I usually don't look at those people's evaluations, but I looked at her evaluations. And Dave, you know what her evaluation said? Maurice was the best speaker I ever attended. His content was clear. I totally understood what he was talking about. I can't wait to have Maurice come back to our office.
Yeah, and it was my next question. Sometimes in my speech, I'm surprised because I saw body language and I'm totally wrong, because at the end of the speech, the people, they come, oh, thank you very much, it was great. And sometimes I want to pay to the seminar, and I was thinking, oh, what? I don't understand. And how do you do with that?
Well, I think we have to understand that we, as speakers, will never figure out what the audience is thinking. You had the same example as I did. See, they had a totally different reaction. So you know what I think it is? This is my theory, that we're so entertaining, we're so informative, and we're having such a presence with them that they lose track of their facial expressions. They don't realize that their facial expressions may be drooping. I'm sure that woman, I misread it, that she didn't understand what was going on, or she could have been saying, oh my gosh, what a great idea. See, I have no idea. So our job is this: focus on the audience. Not so much what they're doing or saying, especially if it's a negative, because we'll never understand that. And what I suggest to beginning speakers, if that does happen, don't look at them. Look at the cheerleaders. Look at the people who are smiling, nodding, and engaging you. I remember one time I was in Texas, right? I was in Texas. I'm a city boy. New York City, Los Angeles. Here I am in the heartland. I'm in Texas, cowboy country. All right, I walk in, all business attire. People are walking in, with denim and cowboy hats and all that. Man, I was out of place. I began speaking. I did my scan. Out of 100 people, I had one cheerleader, and she sat all the way in the back. And now, as I was going through it, all I was thinking is like, oh my gosh, this city boy is trying to tell us how to do business? Because I had such sour people in the audience. But every time I got a little off kilter, little off center, I would look at my cheerleader. She would smile, she would nod, and I would smile and nod, and it would calm me down. And I went back into conversational mode. I went back on focusing on my audience. I continued to do that. You know what happened? Another cheerleader popped up. Another, and until I owned that audience. So again, what we got to do is we got to look away from those people, because we can't figure out what they're thinking and concentrate on our cheerleaders.
The main thing you say is to keep your energy.
Oh, keep your energy throughout. Do not look at it. But that's what I'm saying. If you look at those people, they will drain your energy. So by looking at the cheerleaders, again, it'll keep your enthusiasm up because you're feeding off of their enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm goes up, your audience's enthusiasm goes up. The audience's enthusiasm goes up, so it's like, I guess both of us are contagious, right? We're contagious to the audience, and the audience could be contagious to us as well.
Great, I love that. So you were talking about the fact that at the end of your presentation, you know how to sell the next. What are your advice to? It's not so easy for everyone to. I know a lot of coaches and speakers. They are easy to share, message to give, and when they have to ask or to sell, it's very hard, and they don't do, or they do bad. And what is your advice?
Well, in fact, at my 3-day intensive Discover Your $1 Million Message, that's exactly what we do. Again, I want you to be informative. I want you to be fun, but I also want you to create that transaction at the end of your presentation. I had a client, you know what her stage was? A coffee shop. She'd be standing in line at a coffee shop, and since she was so clear with her message by following that 26-point template, she led her audience, and it could be an audience of one, on a verbal journey. And that's my advice. Take your audience on a verbal journey that it naturally leads to that transaction of your product, your book, your services, even your charity. So by the end of it, the people are asking, so how do I work with you? How do I continue to do this?
Let's take an example with my speech, because one of my goals is to do speeches in English in the USA.
Okay.
So let's imagine that I do a speech in Los Angeles in 6 months.
Okay.
I will do that, and about self-confidence, and 2-hour speech. So what I have to do?
Okay. You're asking me to boil down my template in the next few seconds, and I'll do my best. What you do is you present an introduction, right? You begin the speech. And a lot of people don't misuse that introduction. That introduction is to make a connection with the audience. Not only that, to make as big a connection with the audience as possible. But we have to understand this. Not everyone in your audience wants your product or service. I'm sorry to tell you that, David, but not everybody. But now, through the body of it, we're going to bring them through what I call golden nuggets. You're going to share various aspects of your next product. So you have to be clear in mind, what is your next product?
Yeah.
I always ask people the
2-day seminar for me.
Okay, so from the 2-hour seminar, you're gonna upsell them. The terminology we use is upsell.
Yeah.
So your upsell is a 2-day seminar. So you have to be crystal clear what your audience is going to do at the end of this presentation. So for you, for them is to invest, to sign up for your 2-day.
Yeah.
So as you're going through the body of your speech, you're going to use examples. You're going to use points from your 2-day. Why? Because you're going to let the people experience your 2-day. So that when you go into your close, you make sure you have a clear, concise call to action. So your topic is self-confidence, yes?
Yeah.
All right, so you've introduced the idea of that self-confidence will help you to be successful. Then you go through the body, you share golden nuggets with people of various techniques from your 2-day, various results that people have gotten from your 2-day, various things that people can learn at their 2-day. You give them a taste of it. Then what have you done? You've naturally set up your 2-day so that when you go into your close, you invite people to say, hey, if I could do this in 2 hours, imagine spending 2 days with me.
Do you say that?
I say that exactly. That's a great, if you're more than welcome to use that, that's what's known as a script. So if you enjoyed this, how many of you enjoyed this? You get a reaction from the audience. You get into the conversation.
You ask how many people?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We should. Let me tell you something. The greatest tool you could use is questions.
Yeah.
Because it involves the audience. You want to involve the audience. Remember I said you want to bring the people on a verbal journey? Well, you want them to experience. This is key. You want them to experience your 2-day in that 2 hours. And it's possible. The gift of public speaking is allow people's imagination to walk in your imagination by the examples you give, by the stories you tell, by the facts and figures that you give. Right? So you give that information. You give them a taste of it. You let them experience so much that they want to continue working for it. And simply put, at the end, as soon as you finish the body, at the end of it, people should be thinking this. Well, if it could happen for David, it could happen for me. David, how do I do it? Well, it's easy, ladies and gentlemen. Join us at our 2-day, and then you go into and you tell them exactly, now this is key, you tell them exactly what they need to do to work with you. Be it males or females, for some reason we have a little bit of aversion for asking for the money, asking for the sale. Well, I don't think you're selling snake oil. I don't think you're trying to be harmful to people. You have something that's going to make a difference in people's lives, yes?
Yeah.
For the positive. You can help them be successful, yes?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. You're helping people to make a difference in their lives. So why wouldn't people want to make to better their lives, to be successful? And you have a 2-day that will help people to do exactly that.
And yes, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
About the objection, right?
Okay.
Do you say it's objection?
Objections, yes.
Do you prepare it? How do you avoid objection? For example, the price.
Well, another great question. I love this. What you do is when you bring them on this verbal journey, let's be proactive. So when you do your homework about your topic, not only that, about your 2-day, your upsell, you're going to know that there's usually generally anywhere from 2 to 3 objections. I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and is that really for me? Well, guess what? As you're going through the body of your speech, the golden nuggets you're sharing, you're going to show them the value. You're going to show them the value. In other words, not about price. You're going to show them the value. Because if I came in here with a beautiful Lamborghini, right? A 2014 Lamborghini, I says, I'll sell it for you for $10,000. Let me tell you something. You're going to find a way to put together $10,000. Because why? The value is there. So that's why I call it $1 million message. To you, it's got to be worth. It's got to be that worthy, that valuable. Why? Because no matter how much it is, be it $97 to $1997, I'd be willing to invest that to have that million, to make me feel that way, to get that success. So during the body, you're going to show them the value. Not only that, you're going to show them that it's worthwhile their time, the investment of their time, as well as their effort. So no matter where you speak in Los Angeles, people will make a trek, people will make a beeline to exactly where you're speaking. And you could do that all within 2 hours. And if I may, you could all do that all in 2 hours with my template.
It's great. And do you have a maximum time for speeches? For example, for a conference, do you have a maximum of length?
Well, I can look at that question 2 ways. One way is just pure length. How much content do I want to share with people? So you can go anywhere from 20 minutes to 90 minutes to a half day, full day, 2-day, 3-day. Again, that's what you want to deliver to the people. But the other way I look at that question is this. How much time do I need working with people to get the dollar amount for that upsell? So let's say, for example, your upsell is $97. Well, you could probably do that in anywhere from a 20-minute presentation to a 90-minute presentation. Why? Because that's how much time you need to get into the person's psychic, to get in them thinking that they should be investing in that. But let's say you have a product that is $10,000. I don't think, unless maybe you could do it probably, but I don't think 20 minutes is going to convince the audience to invest $10,000 in you. So maybe if it is a $10,000 investment in your upsell in the next product, I might need a day. I might even need 2 days, depending upon your skill level. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So it's how much content do you have? That's how long it is. But also you got to take into consideration how much is your upsell. You know, if it's a few dollars, you might need a few minutes. But if it's a lot of dollars, you're going to need a lot of time to get into the person's psyche, to get into them, to break down those walls of objections, those walls of resistance. I may need to spend some time with you to do just that.
Yeah. Great, I love that. And in your audience, you have different people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have one kind of clients who attend usually to your next project.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sell, do you speak to only this kind of people or to everyone? Let's take an example.
Okay.
In my audience, I have 30% who are entrepreneurs. Let's imagine that usually I have 60% of entrepreneurs during my seminar. 30 in the 2 hours and 60% in the seminar. Do I have to speak especially to the entrepreneurs?
Well, again, who you have to figure out who your audience is. In other words, let's say your product, your true product is the 2-day.
Yeah.
And through your experiences, you notice that the majority of those people are entrepreneurs. And now this is just pure sales 101, known as the sales funnel. So the people that I put at the top of the sales funnel, yes, I want to reach as big an audience as possible, but let's not make it trickle down to 1 or 2. Let's make your 2-day packed with people. So why not fill your intros, as I call them, your intro sessions, with the people that are more likely to invest in it. So we have to do a little bit of homework. For the beginner speaker, we may have to go out there, trip and fall flat on our face to find our audience. For example, for me, my audience is business owners or already in business, also speakers, beginners or experienced, as well as authors. Now people say, why authors? Well, they come out with a book and they don't realize that's half the battle. You have a book comes out, well now you got to go out there, you got to do the speaking tours, you got to do the book tours and present your book. Not so that people enjoy what you're saying, but simply for people to buy your book. And I have a lot of authors that come through. I had one author that came through, she did a whole speaking tour, didn't sell a single book. She worked with me privately, one-on-one. I showed her a few techniques from my presentation, and she went to selling 99% of the people in the room. Why? Because she was clear who her audience was. Not only that, she was clear what her call to action is. So I don't know about people, but I know that they have something to transact, to sell to the next person. So let's help yourself with that. Who is your audience? If you feel that it's entrepreneurs, then in your marketing, in your intros, you're going to be speaking in entrepreneurial terms, using their vocabulary, their verbiage, so that it naturally attracts those people, so that you fill your audience. Why? With the audience that's more probable to go to your 2-day.
And yeah, I have a question. Do we have to choose our vocabulary because of, for example, let's imagine that in my 2 days I have only 10% of entrepreneurs, or maybe 5%. But I want to have more entrepreneurs. So do I have to adapt my speech to the fact that I have only 5%? So don't speak a lot about two entrepreneurs, or do I have to speak because I want to have in the future an audience of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, again, we can create our audience, definitely, by how we present ourselves.
Yeah.
Again, there's that speaking thing again, the way we present ourselves to the world. So I'm talking about your social media, your blogging, your videos and all that. Yes, you should use the terminology and all that. I came up with a phrase called resultant words and phrases. Resultant words and phrases. In other words, what are the results? What do you think are the results that entrepreneurs want, as opposed to construction workers? In other words, other people that you may not want in your audience, and all of that, who may not be of service to your message. So let's say you're of service to entrepreneurs. So what are the resultant words or phrases that would spark the interest of entrepreneurs?
Growth,
success, being on your own, being the best person that you can be. By putting that languaging in your speaking, well, other people may not be so interested in those results, but who would be interested in those results? The entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So yes, when you're beginning out, you're going to feel your way. And if you want a particular audience, yes, you have to start using that verbiage, the lexicon, the words that your particular audience would do. And I'm talking about everything from your marketing pieces, your flyers, your handouts, to your social, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Yeah, focus on what you want.
Yeah, focus on what you want and you will attract it.
It's great. And do you like TED Talks?
Well, I'm proud to say that this past, last year, spring of 2013, I was invited, and I am a TEDx speaker. And that is what we call in the speaking business a feather in our cap.
What do you mean?
A feather in a cap means, in other words, it's a great honor to have that. In other words, this is something that we look to achieve because it's by invitation only. And I'm proud to say that I am a TEDx speaker. And what a great experience the TED organization is. Collecting the best minds, people of thought, people of interest.
I love.
Oh, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend not only to be a TED speaker, but also to watch all those speaking. You want to learn how to be a better public speaker? watch other public speakers.
Yeah.
You can learn a tremendous. So yes, I'm proud to be a TED speaker. I encourage all the speakers out there
How long
to
was your
strive for it.
speech?
My speech, usually the TED organization asks you to speak from anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. But I believe in the KISS method. Keep it short and simple. So mine was about 10 minutes long.
Wow.
Now, see, I use a little, this is a little inside thing. I use a little psychology there because as people click through the videos, I think the majority of people look how long the speech will be. And if they see that it's 15, 20 minutes long, well, who wants to sit there for 15, 20 minutes? But when they see my video, my Maurice DiMino video, they see 10 minutes. Oh, I got 10 minutes, I'll watch it. And then people are slowly watching my video.
And do you see? Do you measure a difference?
Yeah, I'm watching the views. I encourage people to go to the TEDx YouTube channel, look for Maurice DiMino, click on it. I would love to know everyone's comment about it. And my message in that was quite simply this: why do we look for extraordinary circumstances to influence us? Each and every one of us has that unique experience, past life experience. In other words, we don't need tragedy, we don't need great success to push us forward. My simple message is that each one of us has that little spark, has that little flame inside of us to be successful. What is your flame? What is your spark? That was what my video was about.
It's great. And how do you, because for example for me, I do a lot of long seminar and long hours and training, and the short I do, it's 2 hours. So it's a challenge for me to speak, for example, 10 minutes.
Yes.
Because it's my introduction, 10 minutes.
Exactly, yes. For me, it takes me just 10 minutes just to say hello.
Yeah, and it could be an amazing challenge for me to not only talk in TED Talks because we have TEDx also in France. Mm-hmm. But one of my amazing goals for this year is to do a TEDx in English. So how can I do to build a short speech like that, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
What is your core message? Distill that down to one sentence. You see, this is what I love about public speaking. I don't know if it was Mark Twain or whoever said this. You want me to speak for an hour? Give me 5 minutes to prepare. You want me to speak for 5 minutes? Give me the rest of the day to prepare. Why? It's really difficult to really par down, to really get down your message into a few concise phrases. But it is possible. No matter what language you're speaking, be it French, English, whatever it may be, there's certain ways to say it in a colorful way. There's certain ways to turn a phrase. I call them dynamic sentences. In other words, within one sentence, there's a lot going on. And one way to do that is by reading. Stephen King, fantastic author. I'll never forget reading his books. They asked him, how does one become a great writer? And you know what his answer was? Start reading. You want to become a great speaker? Start watching. Start listening to other speakers. See how they turn a phrase. In other words, how they say something. How they bring it down to just a few sentences as opposed to a few paragraphs. So I want you, David, I want you to take your core message, right, and then slowly develop in a clear, concise way and really watching the time to keep it to 10 minutes. Even though they give you 12 to 15 minutes, you're going to write a 10-minute presentation. It is doable with an open body and close. So your open may be 2 sentences. Your body may be 2 or 3 paragraphs. Your close is going to be maybe 2 paragraphs. There's a way to really pare it down, to really cut it down so that you're giving clear, concise facts, a quick story here and there, not the lengthy story that you have in your back pocket, but what's a short story that can illustrate that point.
And do you have to add humor?
Sure. Well, you don't have to add humor. The reason I said sure, because I think you should. Audiences react to humor. Now, it doesn't have to be that it has to be a big belly laugh that they'd be rolling in their seats, but even if it's a slight grin, if it's a slight to relieve them of the pressure of what you're giving to them. So if you could add, a humorous look to something, how you look at something with a little funny view, that's good enough. So yes, you should add a little bit of humor if you can.
And there are a lot of ways to start a speech, by question, by humor. How do you choose?
Well, depending upon your audience, and not only that, I think the determining factor is your time. You've been asked to speak someplace, be it TED, be it at a service organization, at a corporation. The biggest question, the most important question you ask your host is this: how much time do I have? Based on how much time you have, that should tell you how to begin it. And I'm so glad that you said to begin it, what I call them as attention getters. For me, I teach my people, from now on, you're never going to begin your presentation with, hello, my name is. Because everybody does that. Mediocre, average speakers do that. So instead, we want to capture our audience. We want to capture our audience's attention as quickly as possible. So you made mention, the best way to do that is by asking questions, telling a story, making a comment. You see, I didn't begin with, hello, my name is Maurice DiMino. By doing those things, we gather their attention. Now, based upon how much I've given, if somebody gives me 20 minutes to speak, I may ask 2 quick questions to gather everyone's attention. If I have 60 minutes, I may make a comment. If I have 90 minutes or I have a half a day, I may tell a story. Then after those points, that's when I introduce myself.
So for example, I can start, how could be your life if everything was possible for you? Something like that.
Exactly.
And another question. And then what are your... in 10 minutes, do you give tips or do you give only one message? Because when you see the TED, there is different TED Talks you have. I love one, I don't know if you know that, if you know this TED Talks. How great leaders inspire action from Simon Sinek. The why, the how, you don't know?
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's great. So it is a system. You have some other TED Talks about the 8 words to success. You have another about, it is a question like, Tony, why we do what we do. So how do you choose between a system, one message, only one message to remember, or 3 keys, 8 keys, and how many keys do you choose?
I believe that when we're speaking, especially if it's like 10 minutes to 12 minutes, I would rather go deep in a subject than wide. Why? Because it's just part of human nature. Human nature, humans cannot take a list of any items 3 or greater. They can handle a list of 3. So if I'm already talking about 8 things or 10 things, I may have lost my audience. So for me, I would rather go deep in a subject. And I bet if you really look at those videos, yes, they say there's a system there, but it's a system about one thing. And what they're probably doing, they could either share all 8 of those systems, but they're clear, concise with those steps. Right? They're not going to go really wide with those steps. They're going to go deep with those particular steps, or they may choose 2 or 3 of those steps and go really deep. So what I suggest to my clients is that if you don't have a lot of time to speak, I would rather go deep, give that audience that experience, than to go wide, very shallow, and they have no idea what you're about. What do you mean?
Great. Did you ever do some radio or something like that?
Radio?
Yeah.
Back in the day, I was on New York City radio. I was a DJ late night. Another great experience that helped me with my vocal quality, to be clear with my message. So yeah, if you can be on radio, or now we have the internet, you could have your own internet radio.
Yeah, I was asking that because sometimes in radio or TV show, you have 3 minutes, or it's hurry. How to have a great impact in maybe 3-4 minutes. For example, another example, when you are in an entrepreneur meeting, someone asks you, everyone present yourself. How do you choose what you say in like a pitch in 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes? What do you do?
Well, for those meetings that you talk about, I teach this thing called the verbal business card. In other words, if somebody came up to you or somebody says, hey, introduce yourself to the audience, you have 1 minute to do it. Well, a business card, it's not big, right? It's not 8 by 10, it's not 9 by 12. It's just a simple little card. So in 1 minute, we can present our message. And what I did is I distilled my $1 million template into 3 or 4 points that we have to share with our audience. Same thing, we got to get the audience's attention. I'm sure you've been to plenty of networking events or entrepreneur events that everybody goes around the table, and what do? Hello, my name is. Forget that. Get a person's attention. Ask a question. Make a comment. Again, I only have a minute. I can't tell a story, so I'll ask one quick question.
For example, what can you ask to present yourself during a meeting?
Well, for me, I say something like this. I make a comment. Imagine taking the number one fear, public speaking, and making it your number one asset. Hello, my name is Maurice DiMino with the $1 Million Template. There, I've already started speaking, I've already introduced myself. I have a client that she wrote a bid. She took my template and she created a bid that allowed her to make $11,000 more than the next competing bid. Why? Because she had a clear, concise message. If you're interested in making a clear, concise message, see me after this meeting. In fact, if you come see me, give me your business card and I'll give you a copy of my book, The Art of Public Speaking. In fact, if you visit me on my website, mauricedimino.com, there sign up for my newsletters because then you'll be aware of when my next intensive is. My name is Maurice DiMino. I am your $1 Million Messenger. That's it. Now see, in that probably, I don't know, I'm sure when people watch the video, they're going to time that. But that's my verbal business card. So what did I do? I got their attention. I told who I was. But instead of telling you what my services were, what did I use? I used a story that illustrated my product. Right? I made mention of the template, clear, concise message. I talked about getting the results that people wanted, the dollar difference.
So now, you use a story of one of your clients?
Yeah, a real quick story. Now that story, let me tell you, that story that I just shared with you, yes, a person did make an extra $11,000 in a bid. In other words, they used my template to write it out. They made extra money. I don't know about anybody, everyone's interested in making more money, yes?
Yeah.
So I found that story. Now that story, it could take me maybe 15 seconds just now, or I could convert that story to 10 minutes. Again, depending on how much time I'm given.
Okay.
But that's key there. If you really want to illustrate to the people, tell them what you're about, yes, share a piece of information with them, but support it. Illustrate it with a story. Human beings love stories. So I'm going to encourage you to become a story collector.
Yeah, I love stories also.
Definitely.
It keep attention.
Yes, definitely.
How the people can follow you, and what do you want to present themselves?
Well, I encourage them to visit my website, mauricedimino.com. Being 100% Sicilian, I believe in the family. I believe that we're all in this together. So when they go to my website, mauricedimino.com, there's plenty of opportunities there to join the family, to get the newsletters, to find out what's coming up next. And I invite each one of your viewers to come visit me at my twice-a-year intensive. We do it every spring and fall in the Los Angeles area. It's called Discover Your $1 Million Message. And what's unique about it is that on day one, we're going to go through the entire template, all 26 points. Now, it's not just me delivering theory. It's me delivering theory. I'll explain the template, but then I'll discuss 2 or 3 points from the template. Then I'm going to have you craft that portion. So by the end of day one, by the end of Friday, you will have crafted your $1 Million message. That's day one. Day two, we're going to talk about marketing. How do you get that message out to the world? I'm going to share my various tips and techniques. I bring in other speakers to share how to go about marketing that message. Then day three, David, this is the day that everybody loves. How to monetize. How to be duly rewarded. How to be compensated. How to be paid for your product, your service, or even your charity. So it's a complete package. Everything that an author, a speaker, a business owner would need so they could take that proverbial question. When somebody asks you, what do? You know exactly what to tell them so that you're informative, it's fun, and you create that transaction. You get duly rewarded because I know that everyone out there, they want to be a winner. They want to take charge of their thing. And I can't think of a better way than to say it, than to speak it.
Yeah, it's great. It was great. Thank you very much.
Oh, pleasure, David. It was my definite pleasure. I enjoyed this.